Alright, back to the KLH. So filter caps, or the filter cap, the output caps have been replaced. I'm not, because you don't see these, I'm not super concerned with getting the exact physical, right, replacement size capacitors in here. So, you can't see this. These are less expensive, so this has never bothered me to do it this way. So anyway, so those have been replaced. Now I have to disconnect, I think, just a couple of these cables, this black one, this red one, and then unscrew the power supply board, flip it on its side, and then I can replace these 3 caps as well. So just got to take a picture, make sure I don't mess anything up. This cap is actually an upright cap, and these are going to be small enough to where I can set them side by side, so those should be okay. Yeah, it's not an axial cap. This is actually a radial cap. So anyway, I'm going to speed through replacing these capacitors. Alright, so those have been replaced. I did measure them off camera, and like all the other capacitors, everything is pretty much out of whack. The filter cap was 3,000 microfarads. It was supposed to be 2. The 500s were both, one was 750, one was 775, and the 100 was 158. So, one thing on this KLH, if you're going to recap it, that you have to pay attention to is that these capacitors have a stripe on the positive side, right? So the positive side is marked. Now this one there is a negative stripe, but positive side marked, negative side is plain. On new capacitors, the negative side is striped and the positive side is plain. So it gives you a reason to do kind of a double take, right? Double check your work. Make sure you get everything in the right way. Because if you just look at stripe, oh, stripe goes left, stripe goes right, you might get yourself into trouble. So just something to be aware of. Pop these 2 back in there, check my picture, make sure those are correct. And then I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to look at the amp boards. Before I try to do any adjustments on this, I do want to point out one thing, and I think I pointed out before. On this amplifier board, there is a replacement transistor. And I've also noticed that one of the amplifier, or one of the 2 of the output transistors are running kind of hot. And the 2 that are running are on this side, and they actually go to this board. So this is replaced with an RCA 38269. Not sure what that is, but I would like to replace the that looks like a replacement transistor too. What is that? Maybe that's an original. It's a 4370. 4370. So I'm not sure if those were replaced or not. I need to look at the schematic and see what's going on with those. Alright, so grab the schematic, and actually this RCA transistor is correct. This replacement here, or this is a replacement here. Here's the problem. When I do a search for RCA 38269 transistor, I get nothing. Nothing on Audio Karma, nothing on the internet. I found 38869. I can't find a data sheet. I can't find any information about that transistor. So 38269 NPN transistor. I don't know what to do about a direct replacement, because I would like to just replace them both. So what I was saying before was some of the output transistors are running hot and they're on this side and they are attached to this board. So I'm wondering if that transistor is not a good match, but I don't know what to do about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the idle current, right? So I've got my dummy loads. I'm going to connect to it. I don't have a variac. I'm not going to go through this preliminary setup, but I will. I want to at least look at this idle current adjustment. It looks like across the emitter resistors probably, and pot 311 for 15 millivolts. Because I'm wondering if maybe the idle current is too high for that channel. Is what I'm thinking. So from what it appears to me, we need to do is, I need to figure out where I'm going to be putting my test points and measuring stuff. So these are the 0.51 ohm resistors, and then I'll have to figure out what trim pot I'm going to have to turn here. So I'm going to pause this while I figure this out and get it set up. Right, so I'm trying to decipher what they want us to do here. It says connect a voltmeter across the 0.51 ohm 2 watt resistor. Now there are two of them, so I'm assuming we're going from one to the other. When I test this one, right, this one I'm getting 17 milliamps or millivolts, right? So this side's good. This side I did an initial test and it's reading pretty high. It's like 200. So I'm thinking that's why these outputs are getting hot. I just need to find a way and something to put down in there that's non-conductive to adjust that pot. Because the adjustment tool I normally use is too small. So I may have to kind of just use this and hook it and kind of turn it like this, right? So let's see what happens. I'm going to turn this on. It's volume at, everything is flat, contour is off, it's on auxiliary. I'm going to turn the volume at minimum. And I'm getting a negative 115. And again, I'm looking for 15. So let's see what happens. If I turn it clockwise, it goes lower. If I turn it counterclockwise, looks like it's coming up a little bit. It's really hard to do it with this janky thing. Gosh, I wish I had... I'm just going to let this sit for a second. See if I have something non-conductive I can put in there to adjust that. Alright, let me pause this and look for something. I didn't have anything, so I just trimmed off the little hook that was on here. I've never used that hook for anything before. And I think I'm going to be turning it counterclockwise. So let's watch the voltmeter here. See if we can get it close to 15. Boy, that thing is tough. Looks like that's... Gosh, that's about as good as I can get it. 60? wonder if that pot needs to be cleaned. Negative 60. Again, I'm looking for 15, and that just turns it lower again. So, what a bummer. So let me clean. I can clean that. I'm just reading this again to make sure I'm not missing something, but so that's symmetrical clipping. I don't want to do that right now. Volume pot to minimum. Across the 0.51 ohm 2-aught resistor on the power amp board. Again, there are two. So I don't know, like if I go across, it doesn't make sense to go across one at all. I'm just doing this because I'm curious as to what it would measure. It should be about half of what it was, so if we're getting about 60, that's about 30. All right. So that makes sense. Jeez. Oh well. So this is off. Let me just kind of clean up this variable resistor a bit. Maybe there's some corrosion in there. And all right, I'm going to make sure this is dry before I try to adjust it again. I was able to play around with it a little bit more, and I got it to where I can get it to negative 25, and that's probably as close as I'm going to be able to get it to negative 15. I don't know. I mean, negative 22, negative 19. It's a little bit better. So I'm pretty close to where it needs to be. And what I did is I just kind of I was messing around with this. I was cleaning. Or I didn't clean that, but I was clean this pot, and then I messed around with the symmetrical clipping adjustment. Now I will throw this on the scope and just check out clipping on both channels. So I'm not getting the heat that I was getting, because it was pretty hot. So I'm not getting heat anymore on that right channel like I was. So that looks to be okay. So, and I did test for voltage for DC on the speaker terminals. I don't have any. Right, so if I go DC and I'm just going to do the left, right, I'm getting nothing on the right as well. So I don't know about this symmetrical clipping adjustment until the output signal begins to clip. All right, adjust R308. So I'm going to plug this into I'm going to run a test tone through it, plug it in, see if I can get symmetrical clipping and adjust that on both channels. All right, so blew the fuses because my signal generator, I cannot kind of tune it to the specification that the manual requires. So basically, yeah. So I taxed the amp, blew the fuses, replaced them with 1.5 milliamp fuses. Thing sounds phenomenal. I double checked the bias. Bias is still good. So I'm not going to worry about symmetrical clipping before it blew. Both channels were tracking. So yeah, I'm not going to go any further with trying to adjust this because, you know, I mean, like, I don't know about these transistors on the amp boards, and it's just, yeah. So anyway, I think for now, I've adjusted this as much as I'm going to adjust it. Again, I have great sound through here. I mean, it's just a local station. Plenty of low end. I mean, yeah, so this is mine. I'm going to put it in probably in the gym with my Wharfdales. Kind of try it out down there for a little bit, see how it sounds. But I'm going to say that this has been repaired. Not restored, but I'll say that it's been repaired to this point. And unless something pops up in the future on this one, I'm going to call this one done. So, yep. All right, so here's where the KLH is going to be hanging out. I've reconfigured my gym a little bit, or my little exercise room in here. Sounds good. All right, looks good, sounds good. All right, all the lights work on it. All right, there's FM, there's AM. You know, I just listen to streaming music through Alexa down here, so see, she's paying attention to me. So anyway, yeah, this is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little receiver. I'm going to keep my eye out for another one just to play around with another one of these. I think it's kind of neat. Tiny. It's heavy for its size. Tiny, but speaking of tiny, there's Stella. Hey, Stella, say hi. Yep, that's what I thought. Ralph's just gawking at me back behind me. So anyway, I'm going to call this one done. This is wrapped up. I'm going to enjoy this down here, test it out for, I don't know, a couple weeks, a month or so. Then I'll probably hook the Sony back up and figure out what I'm going to do with this one. Maybe I'll just keep it down here. I don't know. Anyway, if you see what you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and until the next video.